All right, g'day, hi, and welcome. And light is out. Okay, so you can't really see me. It doesn't really matter. It's going to be a talking video anyway. All right, so this was the second mandolin out. Now, not hit that guy beside me or anybody else. Nobody else in here, so okay. Pedal on the right, pedal on the right. Don't run anybody over. There's a tight little parking lot here. Hang on. So yeah, it's getting close to the wee hours of the morning. It is now tomorrow. It is. I love the short wheelbase on this thing. I can do U's in the parking lot really easy. Okay, so here's what happened. Night number 6 was a really good night. The host tonight was Sean. I can't think of his last name. Real cool guy. Last time him and I met, I don't know the guy like really well. It's just last time I met, that was the night I brought out my SG61, which was Halloween last year, which was an insanely crazy night. Now tonight was not as crazy as the night before, but whatever. But it was still a good night. It was still a really good night. Not as many people. It was very hot tonight, though. That's the thing. And I was like, okay, no problem. So last week there was like 80 people in the bar. This week there was like, probably at the peak, maybe 50. So it's still a really good night, you know. I can't say a more mellow crowd tonight. Well, no, it was definitely more mellow. Last week was crazy. Last week was just crazy. There's no short, you know, there's no way around it. It was just crazy last week, which I love crazy. And it all happened after my World's Most Dangerous Drinking song, too. But tonight, I played the mandolin for the second time. Had 2 mics on me, pretty good. But I did my ultimate screw-up tonight. This is the biggest blunder I've ever done so far since I've gotten back into the jam. And you guys are not going to believe what I did. So, played my 3 songs. What songs did I do? Well, I started off, I did start off with the William Tell Overture, and then I lead it into Cowboys from Hell from Pantera. There was one Pantera nut job in the audience. I really liked it. I did Songbird from Oasis, and I did She Sells Sanctuary from the Cult, and everybody liked it. There was an older guy there, Rob, the guy that usually does the ukulele and does the act with Jill there. You've probably seen their act where she plays the stand-up double bass and he plays the ukulele. And he's like, "What was that last song?" He says, "I know that song." I said it was Sanctuary from the Cult. He goes, "Yeah, I knew it." And that guy's like, he's up there, like he's, late 60s, whatever. Real cool guy. What a fantastic harmonica player that guy is there. Good ukulele player. Okay guitar player. Fantastic harmonica guy. He was up there with one of the other locals there. I just like the people there. They're just interesting. You know what I mean? Very good musician, and always very positive. Very. Everything's always cool. You know what I mean? Intergalactic Space Hippie was up just before me. I was talking to him tonight. I showed him the mandolin. I mean, the guy has mental problems. Like, I don't know if he was in an accident or whatever. I don't think the fact that he probably does so much LSD and smokes too much weed, I don't think that's helping him either. But, he's a nice guy, right? So I'm like, "Hey, Dad, come here. I'll show you my mandolin." So I was like, "Wow, that's neat. I never played one of those before. I wouldn't even know where to start." So he went up there, traumatized everybody like he normally does. But, I got to give it to the guy. I mean, to have a handicap like that and still go on stage doing your own songs, whatever, and just that's beautiful. You know what I mean? And everybody kind of like, they got a little bit tired of him, but it's kind of like, it's his handicap that holds him back. He'd probably, had he not, had a handicap, he'd probably be a really phenomenal musician. He has very extravagant guitars and whatever. There's no doubt about that. But the thing is that it's the fact that he does it. You know what I mean? That's special. That's what's special, is the fact that he has the confidence to do that. And I mean, he knows he's not the most savvy. You know what I mean? Like, but that's that's what's special. You know what I mean? So hats off. He's getting better too. That's the thing. Like, I don't think he's ever going to be spectacular, but he is getting better. Or I'm getting acclimatized to the intergalactic space hippie. It could be one or the other. It could be both. I don't know. It is what it is, right? But that said, I went up right after him. I sat down with the mandolin because mandolins are tricky. If you're going to get real technical with a mandolin, okay, you really, really, really have to be comfortable, have the right pick in hand, have the right... there's a big guy. Dude, turn off your Daymaker. Turn off the Daymaker, dude. You're going to put me in the freaking river. But the thing is that the mandolin is all about comfort. It really is. If you're not 100% comfortable, the angle of attack, the positioning of where you're going to shred on the bridge, so to speak, everything plays in. Now, I'm pretty sure when I watch the footage, it's going to sound fantastic. And I'll tell you about my major screw up tonight. But, I'm building up to it, right? Woo, skunk. Woo. Oh, man. Wherever you are, Pepe, man, stay over there. Woo, that's a fresh one. Anyway, long story short, a mandolin is about finesse, right? And to play fast, you have to really be thinking ahead of yourself, or else you get sloppy. If you don't have the right pick, you stiffen up. If you have too light of a pick, you break the pick. So it is tricky to get the dynamics out of the mandolin because of things I talked about in the previous video of, the snappy response to the mandolin is its vine and its vice. What makes it so brilliant and all that great stuff, but it's also the same thing that makes it tricky to play sometimes if you're not on the ball. So I thought, well, I'm going to anchor this mandolin in really well, and I want all the notes accounted for. So I started off with Cowboys from Hell from Pantera, and I led into it with the William Tell overture, which is basically the Lone Ranger theme, and I did really good in it, and whatever. Really, I think I nailed that one pretty good. I could have played it a little bit cleaner, but everything seemed to really go. But it was really kind of tricky, too, because I was trying to keep the mandolin in front of the mics and stuff like that. And, so it's always different, right? It's a one-take wonder. But otherwise, not bad. I mean, it sounded good. I know it sounded good. It sounded great. And when you guys get to see the video, oh, wait, there was my screw-up. I forgot to turn on the damn camera. I forgot to turn on my GoPro. I didn't turn on my GoPro for Cowboys from Hell. I literally forgot to turn on the camera. That's never happened to me before. I was getting so, okay, I'm going to nail this performance, that I got so rambunctiously hyper on it that I forgot to turn on the GoPro. So, unfortunately, you guys will never get to see that. But I will do it again. Why? Because, I got to do it again. I'm going to do it again. The next time I bring the mandolin out. I was like, it's like, that. It really, really buzz-killed me a bit. I was just like, I can't believe I forgot to do that. And, not the end of the world, but it was a good performance. I will just say that. It was a really good performance. One guy, this guy, I guess he does the dishes or whatever. I don't think he was working tonight. He seems like he's a younger lad, probably mid-20s, maybe early 30s, whatever. And he really likes the metal stuff. I know he's a metalhead, right? He's like, dude, he says, I heard Pantera last week. I haven't heard it in years, of Cowboys from Hell. And there you are, man. He says, you nailed that, man. Dude, I love fucking Pantera. You know what I mean? It was like, I was ready to hear the Pantera or somebody yell Slayer. I was ready. Maybe somebody did. I'm sure somebody yelled Pantera. Anyway, it was just, like I say, I can't really hear past the monitors because it drowns out the audience a bit unless they're really hooting and hollering, right? And it was good. It was good. But I forgot to turn on the darn camera. I was like, no. I was like, wait, I got to do it over again. I forgot to turn on the camera. I was kidding. I would never do that, Though it was tempting. It's like, I got to do this song twice in a row because I forgot to turn on the camera. So then I went into Songbird by Oasis, and as I expected, I could, it was melting the ladies in the audience. My little pretty brunette was there tonight, but she was hiding tonight. But I think she's got a boyfriend, so whatever. But she was hiding outside, so I got a little bit of a smile or whatever. But yeah, anyway. But yeah, there was. It definitely wasn't as crowded or as rowdy as last one, but it was a really nice audience. It was a really, I can't say just well behaved, but a really receptive audience. So they loved the Songbird song, and they loved the little mandolin pieces to it. But the Sanctuary song, I think, kind of had people a little bit spellbound. I'm not saying I was, the greatest thing since sliced bread, but it was just like, it was very interesting because I took it up and down like I introduced it and whatever, and it was just, I'm going to be interested to see how that one came out. I think that one's going to come out pretty interesting. And long story short, it's like, I feel really good on that one. The vocals, everything, all the notes seem to be accounted for. But it also seemed like, boy, can you ever do a lot with that song? And it was like, okay, I know I got to cut it a bit short. Strangely enough, everybody got 4 songs tonight but me. Technically, I got 4 if you add up the William Tell Overture, but we thought we were going to be time crunched, and then all of a sudden there was just, like last week, it was like we barely got everybody in there. And this week it was like, no, we got everybody in. So I was like, okay, well, you guys play a couple of... There was some... Tim went up there. He was just finishing up now, ending the night off, playing his electric fiddle with Greg on the Telecaster. Man, that guy could shred. Oh, yeah, it was like, speed metal violin, right? It's like, he's really good. Nice lad. I like talking to him and stuff like that. But yeah, they were doing like a jazz kind of improv and stuff like that. There was a little bit of a jam tonight. There was no drums tonight, but yeah. And then I was talking to Sean for a bit with his. He's got this beautiful 1975 Hummingbird. I literally thought it was newer, but this thing has such a sweet tone. Like I said, he was the first guy when I first started doing the jam nights there. He was the first guy I seen there. And the guy has a golden voice. He really does have a golden voice. I don't have a golden voice. I know that. I can yell and key. You know what I mean? I'm good for the drinking songs and stuff like that because, like I don't have a golden voice. I will probably never have a golden voice. What is the golden voice? Well, it's just a strange thing where you can hit notes and you can hit range, and then there's just that little nuance of style that some people just naturally have, and it just gives a sweet tone to their voice. And whatever the trick is, I don't think it can be taught. I think either you have the golden voice or you don't. I do, however, have good pitch. Not all the time. It doesn't mean I can always hit the ranges I want to hit, but I do have good pitch. I know I can tune my guitar with perfect pitch by just going, that should be A440. And I can tune my guitar to my voice. So that means I got perfect pitch. I remember when I was in high school, I had perfect pitch. So I'm lucky that way. Doesn't mean I don't go sing out of key or whatever. It doesn't mean that. It means that you at least know what notes you're trying to achieve. That said, I was really impressed with this mandolin tonight. As hot as it was in that bar, it was stinking hot, and they didn't have the side door open this time. As hot as it was in that bar, that mandolin held tuning. It's a workhorse. It needs a pickup. If I really want to blow people away, it needs a pickup. But I got to tell you, though, the 2 mics really seem to pick it up nice and crisp and clear. So I would like to hear it from the other side of the monitor. Even if somebody else played it, I wouldn't care. Just to hear it, because this mandolin is a special little machine. I left a price tag on it. It's been on there now, I guess, a couple of months since I bought the thing. It was such a good deal. I was just like, as a joke. But the problem is the heat actually shrivels up the price tag. It's funny because it was that hot, and yet the mandolin stayed in tune. It performed. I was able to thrash and shred on it. It's a beautiful little machine. You know, I've talked about that before, where you find these little gems and special, and you know, for best $200 I've ever spent. My other mandolin, I wouldn't even touch this one. And sometimes you just get, well, like I say, if you're a musician, you go in to, and you know, like you have your dream guitar, you want to buy it and everything like that, but just try everything on the wall. You know what I mean? Just try everything. Because sometimes you find little gems like this, and they don't break the bank. And it's a performer, you know what I mean? Like, it sounds crisp and clear. It's not the best sounding mandolin in the world. And it does, you know, it will, you know, it will buzz. It has a buzz off the pick guard, I think, a little bit. If you strum certain notes, you'll always get a resonation. It's what they'd call a wolf tone on a violin. Every mandolin's going to have that. Every violin is going to have that one spot where you get the blurb note, right? The question is it noticeable or not? On this one, it's not really noticeable. Like, this thing doesn't buzz like crazy. It is a very clean sounding mandolin. But if you really thrashed on it, it's a little bit buzzy, you know. The one thing I want to do tomorrow is, I got a road trip early in the morning tomorrow. So I got to go pay my car insurance. So I got to head back this way. And tonight, it was kind of yesterday I got paid $50. So that paid for tonight and my gas money and tonight out on the, you know, my night on the town. It's not like I spend a lot of money. It's like, I mean, I keep it under $40 all the time. I don't drink beer or anything like that when I'm driving. I only drink Coca-Colas. But it's like, the problem is it's like, you drink those and then you don't sleep well. You know what I mean? Like, the stuff's like gut rot you. You know what I mean? That's not too bad. I drink a lot of water too when I'm there. But the thing is that the really cool part of tonight with the mandolin is that I know that the wander off during the song, the Sanctuary song, I know the wander off, it really kept people interested. I could see it in their faces. Kind of like how the Songbird really, you know, gave the audience a sweetheart kind of feel. And I could just see people smiling along with it. You know, like, they might not have never heard that song before, but I've heard Coldplay play it. It was probably some sort of B-side that Oasis came up with. It's such a quick, short little tune. And it's so simple and it's so sweet. You can take it up or down. And I knew that tonight would be a bit more of a breathable night and not quite so rushed. So I knew I would be able to get away with a little bit of a drag on the Sanctuary song. But I probably should have dragged on the Songbird song. I had ad-libbed a bit at the end. Again, those special live performances. But, you know, it's nice to see people like you can just see the warmth in their faces when you're singing. Like, it's a sweetheart song. It really is. You know, it's a love song. Which, on a mandolin, a love song on a mandolin is just, yeah, nip and tuck, right there you go. You know, that's like, you know, like a fish in water. You know what I mean? It's meant to do that. But then, you want to take them onto an epic journey, you know, like The Cult. See, She Sells Sanctuary. Cowboys from Hell. Ah, man. Moron! You forgot to turn on the camera. No! How could I have done that? And I know people liked it. Oh, my Finnish friend, she was there tonight, and she was like, "Oh, that was really good." You know, she seems like a nice lady. I don't know how old she is. Probably late 30s, mid 30s, whatever. Seems like a really nice lady. Whatever. The young guys were there tonight, but they didn't get up and play. They were doing some sort of drinking game. There was coins flying all over the place. Young lads, eh? They were having fun. Everybody was having fun. It was just such a comfortable night. But I really felt good about all the notes. I think I might have been a little bit slippy with my pick. And I think I was due to the fact that I was trying to really keep the F-hole near the mic to keep the brilliance and, you know, to try to keep the volume even, right? And that's why, like, I back off the vocals because I'll overpower the mandolin. But it's, from my ears, it sounded like everything was blending well. And It sounded like, I mean, one cool thing about a mandolin with their mid-range and upper, tenor style range is they project, you know what I mean? So they cut through. So even if they're not the loudest instrument in the world, they don't have to be, because 9 times out of 10, the sound is just going to cut right through to the other end of the room. And the old guy there, British guy, he's British or Scottish or whatever he is, he was a writer. There's a lot of writers in there. And he was giving me the thumbs up, and the guy's like 82, 84 years old, whatever he is, and he liked it. He's like, oh, yeah, that's really cool, that's really cool. People from 18 to 80. A few pretty ladies in there tonight, but not like last week. Last week, oh my God, goodness gracious me, you know what I mean? But that said, you could see everybody just had such a content night. Really good night. Some nice jams. The only thing about tonight was the fact that I forgot to turn on the dang camera for Cowboys from Hell. No! Say it isn't so. I was like, after I was just telling Sean, the host, the guest host, about the GoPro Hero 7, it's, oh yeah, this thing's great. And so he introduces me, he says, last time I seen this guy, he brought up the spectacular Gibson SG61, and we rocked out. Now he's brought something out. This guy knows how to introduce people. That's a very, very, very cool guy. And I think I overheard him talking, not to, you overhear people talking. I wasn't like eavesdropping, being rude or nothing. But right now, the Ottawa Blues Fest is it's coming around the corner. And I think that guy might be lucky enough to be on stage at one of these Blues Fest stages. I'm like, good for him, If you're a musician, start hanging around musicians. You're just going to fall into things. The owner was there tonight. I didn't get a chance to really talk to her. I saw her just on the way out and stuff like that. But again, I really don't want to push the trying to get the gig there. I really want to play a full gig there, because I think I'd rip the roof off the place. There's no doubt about that. Next week, if I can pull it off, I'm getting better with the violin, playing and singing the songs I want to play. I can let the cat out of the bag now. Although I can't do it justice, the one song I want to do is Evoluti's King while playing and singing the violin. I don't have that solo at the end. I've kind of jury-rigged something else in its place, similar kind of that whatever. So I won't do it as well, but I don't know, maybe I'll bring the mandolin out again. I have unfinished business with the mandolin, out on stage. Plus, it's such a convenient little instrument to bring out. It's even more convenient than the violin, you know what I mean? Like, violin might be a tad bit lighter, but I just love the mandolin. It's such a great, fantastic little instrument. And I'm going to do Rasputin, the Teresa's version of Rasputin on the violin as well. And that should be really, really interesting. Again, the theatrics that you can put to it is what I like. You know what I mean? And I really enjoy doing different things. Now, say tomorrow, everything goes according to plan. And tonight I got a little bit lucky because I got a check in the mail tonight for, a GST check for my American audience. It's basically goods and services taxes. What the government does is they tax you a shitload, okay? And then, to make you feel better, they say, okay, here, you could have 70 or 80, if you're lower income, you could have 70, 80 bucks every 4 months, right? So basically, they take your money, charge you a whole bunch, and then give you a fraction of it back. So they pay you with your own money. But it was a nice $72 check, which will probably cover just about the 2 months of rental on a cello. Talk about impeccable timing. Somebody must be watching over me. Thanks, Mom. You know what I mean? Maybe I meant to rent that cello for 2 months and something special will come out of it. And I found a song done on the cello. Ooh, that person's flying. Called Julie O. Like Julie-O. And this song is spectacular. It doesn't look like it will be impossible to learn. But never playing the cello before, it could be a very challenge. But if I can nail that in 2 months, it's going. I'm going to play that on stage. And then, of course, I want to do. If you haven't seen it, it's a basically a cello version of Top Gun. There's a guy. I'm trying to think of the YouTuber's name. It's just spectacular the way. Just punch in Top Gun cello. You'll be the first guy up. I probably won't be able to do it as well as he does it, but if I could do that, it's about an 8-minute segment that he does. Spectacular. And I'm more of a guy that likes not too rigid to form things such as, like, for example, Bach, Mozart, Paganini, whatever. I'm not there yet. You know what I mean? I can't do that stuff note for note, and my sight reading it's going to get there. I got my printer ran out of ink, and I was going to basically start printing off sheet music and really put some work on the violin, right? So I could. I really want to do Paganini's first, fifth, and 24th caprice. These are like the hardest caprices in the world to play. Maybe not the hardest, but some of the hardest. There's one by Bach, but it's 15 minutes. I don't think I can hold an audience with one tune for 15 minutes unless they are a audience that are like really into classical music. Then they could appreciate its Bach's. The thing is every note has to be perfectly intonated, and they say that's one of the hardest tunes. Not only because it's so long, it's 15 minutes long, and there's so many pieces and bridges and all these preludes and just it's a huge song to play on the violin. It would take you, providing you knew how to play the violin fairly well, it would probably take you 6 months to be able to just remember what to play. Like, to play it without sheet music in front of you. I've seen a couple of people do it already, and I'm just like, I think it might be Bach's Shakona, whatever. There's a couple of people that do Shakona, whatever, and so there's a couple of them out there. But this one, it's like, it would be so, like, that's when you're basically sticking the thumb in the eye of every other fiddler out there or violinist out there saying, look at me, can you do that? This is a simple song. Everything is perfectly intonated, and it's, it goes into virtuoso mode and then goes back into theme. It's just all over the place. It's just up and down and left and right, and it's just spectacular. So when you see somebody that plays without sight reading the sheet music, you can only just say that person is a virtuoso. Even though the song itself is not so difficult to play notes-wise, but you have to know your instrument so well to prove that you, no matter what, will always play perfectly in tune anywhere on the fingerboard. You know what I mean? And that in itself is a very special thing to see people be able to do that. To see somebody do that live, well, that'll blow you away. But if you're not into the genre, most people won't appreciate it. That's why I like to take things that are popular, or were popular, and throw a new theme around them. And that's what I did with the Cult song tonight. I can't wait to see how that one came out. I think it just the running off, and I know what people are going to say, dude, play Battle of Evermore. you know what I mean? The Battle of Evermore. I mean, yeah, that's something that's going to take me a little while to learn. That would be a very epic one on the mandolin, of course. Could I play it? I don't think it's... Battle of Evermore sounds a lot like a song I wrote myself on the mandolin called Wind Chime. And, yeah, it's one of those things that if I nail it, it's really, really good, right? But like anything, there's a lot of parts there. You can't just wing those things that much. But here's the kicker. Most of those things we're playing in the key of whatever, right? The key of D, D minor, D major, C, whatever it is, doesn't really matter. And that big truck behind me's got a light out. Don't worry, Mr. Big Truck, I got both headlights on for you. But the thing is this. is that these guys went like Led Zeppelin, The Who, anything like that they did. 90% of it was improvised. 90% of it. Because they knew music well enough that it's like, okay, well, we're just going to jam in this key. So they take it up, they can take it down, and just let the creativity flow, right? That's what these guys are doing. So that's why whenever you hear them play it, they never play it the same way twice. Maybe it's not necessarily they can, it's just that's not how they rolled, you know what I mean? Everything was an improvise. And I love improvisation, don't get me wrong. I'm the proponent of improvisation. I love never playing the same song twice. I love the idea of every time I play a song twice, it never sounds the same. There's something new, a new dynamic, new ideas. Always something new. That never gets old. It feeds you. It feeds you what you need. You know what I mean? And that's something that I love about doing unconventional things on different instruments. So, like I say, the Sanctuary song, I've probably played that song a million times live in bands and stuff. And the whole thing about it, let this big guy go by. Roll on highway, roll along. Wow. Oh man, that guy's got white line fever. Holy jeez. These trucker guy, he's got an empty load. That's why he's driving so crazy. Take your time, buddy. Get home safe. You know what I mean? I know it's been a long day, but get home safe. When you pass like that, you're hitting the white line on the other side. Yeah. Slow down a bit. You know what I mean? Anyway, big truck, right? Me, I'm always taking my time because you never know what's going to, especially on a hot summer night like tonight, you never know what's going to jump out in front of you. But I really felt good about tonight, except for the fact that I forgot to turn on the dang camera. What kind of cougar dog weenie head doesn't turn on his GoPro? What wasn't I thinking? It's like, say it as it's so, and it's like, it was like halfway through the song, like, I looked out at the audience, like, I'm like, oh, this is really cool, I'm just about to start the second verse, and I looked out, it's like, my GoPro isn't on. No! It's like, you get that. You remember when Trump won the election? I don't want to get political, but that girl with the glasses and the safety vest on there going, nah, that's what went through my head. And that was me, though. I understood her pain at that moment. I mean, here I'm pulling off an epic heavy metal song on the mandolin, and I forgot to record it. No! But you know what? Still a great night. I'm really looking forward to next week. Hopefully I get lucky next week and get enough money coming in to keep these things going, because it is getting near the middle of July, and summer just got here, and I hate to say it, but summer fades fast around up in these northern parts, you know what I mean? But the thing is that tonight I really wanted to be epic with the performance, and I really, really, really felt good about it. And I really think it's such a special little instrument. It's just, it's like, oh wow, a mandolin. Like, people just don't get to see them that often, you know what I mean? Unless they're following like bluegrass. Now, as soon as I walk in, sure enough, there's like the radio, I guess, is just like, it's an auto playlist or whatever, for the bar. And there was a bit of bluegrass playing and stuff like that and whatever. And I kept checking my mandolin to make sure it stayed in tune. Like I say, it was really hot in that bar. And it stayed in tune nicely. Like, it wasn't, I don't even think it was out at all. I kept checking it and whatever. And the nice thing is Derek didn't scare away all the audience on me. I guess again, people are, they're over the shell shock of them and whatever. So the problem is I accidentally got put in front, just right after him. I'd rather go ahead of him than behind him, because you lose your audience. But if you go up first, the problem you run into, quite simply, is people aren't there yet. You know what I mean? I find third and fourth and fifth spot is the best to go, particularly fourth and fifth spot. Tonight I was in the fourth spot. It just worked out that way. So, because I'm usually more of a rowdy guy anyway, so they usually like to put me near the end. But there was a guy from Nova Scotia. He did really well. Did a jam, did some country song. Another guy, he was playing some country tunes, did really well. I think it was his first night there. There was another guy, he had an interesting setup. He had it was a Canadian-made guitar. I'm trying to think of the brand. It was a couple of years old. It was a 12-string, but he only had 6 strings on it, and he just used it for an alternate tuning, right? He played a couple of his own songs, and he played, I know the song, but I can't think of who it was by. It was a 70s song, but he did it in open E tuning or whatever. It was pretty cool what he was doing, and it sounded good, and his voice was good too. Like, it wasn't epically stellar voice, but he was in tune, in key, and it really worked with what he was doing. I'm like, nice. I was like, dude, nice show. You know what I mean? Like, it sounded really good, And, and then, of course, Tim went up with his electric violin. Last week, his battery was kind of dying out on him, and this week he had a new battery. So the problem is that for him, it's to get a good sound out of the violin through a PA. It gets, really raspy and bright because, these are kind of high impedance instruments, not like a microphone or like that, or like a bass, but they can be, so it's very hard to mix the sound for those, but the guy just plays stellar regardless of how you set his sound. And that's kind of the show must go on kind of mentality. There was another guy who got up, he did a bunch of drinking songs. I was kind of hoping that, it's like, geez, I wish I would have been right after him. It would have really kept the vibe going pretty good. But it's nice to get compliments. Some lady walked in, and I was like, "Ooh, that's hot out." She's like, "Yeah." She's, "Oh, you were really crazy good last week there with your crazy drinking song." She was like, "I had a really good time." I was like, "Oh, thank you." So it's funny. Like I say, you might be sitting there, and I mentioned this before, where you think nobody really enjoys your songs or whatever, but as soon as they get a chance to talk to you, they're like, "Oh, wow, I love what you do." You know what I mean? It's stuff like that, and it really it's heartwarming. It's a nice thing. I myself always compliment whoever goes up, nice job, stuff like that. Because I know how it feels when people appreciate what you do. You know what I mean? And it makes you not only want to just keep doing it, but it also makes you appreciate the drive to do it. You know what I mean? It's really nice to be basically appreciated for your talents, and just for the courage to go up on stage. Like, for me, like, I don't get nervous or like that. Like tonight, like, again, when I'm playing the mandolin, depending on how I arrange the song depends on how much I can pay attention to the audience. The Songbird song is actually pretty good because it's pretty much 2 chords and it's just basic strumming. But when I get into the picking part of it, which is still kind of a moderate strum, I have to do my job. I have to pay attention to the instrument when I want to watch the audience. You know what I mean? The Cowboys from Hell, there's parts of it where you have to pay attention to the mandolin, but for the most of it, the verse, you can actually pay attention to the audience because it's just basically you're in a position on the fingerboard and you're not dancing around all over the place, so you don't slip up as much. But I'm gonna have to do that one again. Oh, yeah, it's like it didn't upset me, but it was just like, but I was disappointed that I screwed that up. Like, what? Like, of all things, like, it wasn't I missed a note. It wasn't I dropped a pick. Heck, last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, when my pick just disintegrated in my hand on Bittersweet Symphony when I was playing that. Okay, that was just like, okay, well, I couldn't finish the song because I didn't have a pick in my hand and I wasn't going to, make my fingernails bleed, you know what I mean? But I'd rather that than missing like such a good performance. You know, like it was. I know it was good. I know it was really good. You know, it was epic. I know it was epic, but we'll never know for sure. Yeah, but yeah, it's like just is what it is. You know, but again, it doesn't mean. You know, I mean, I was even headbanging a little bit to it too, especially with the William Tell overture. You know, I do some yeehaw, and I did the yeehaws and stuff like that, getting the song going. Because I introduced this, I'm going to sing a song about cowboys. And everyone's like, hey, okay, right on. I said, you don't understand. I'm going to sing a song about really, really bad cowboys. You know what I mean? And just, you know, make it all theatrical and funny and everything like that. Yeah, there's that. But I got 2 good songs out of it, so that's pretty cool. I know people enjoy it, so I know the next time I bring the mandolin out. The mandolin, again, for an instrument that I can't plug in, it does well. I know that it would just blow people's mind if I got a good pickup on there. Now, if you are a mandolin player and you have some suggestions of, hey, you know what, I've tried a bunch of picks for pickups. I recommend this one or that one or the other one. I'd love to hear from you because, you know, there's a lot of choice out there, and, you know, there's a lot of ways you can spend $150 and not be happy, you know what I mean? Or $250, whatever it is. I do want to, that mandolin deserves a good pickup, and it's a long way from, you know, being, you know, doing that. But the nice thing about that mandolin is going to earn a stage reputation. It's a work instrument. It is now, I cannot deny that thing is a really good work instrument. Yes, I want an F-style mandolin, and you know, sure, I'd like to have a better one. But I would, even if I was in front of a crowd of 10,000 people or 100,000 people, I would still more than play that mandolin with honors. It is a good little instrument. It is so good. Its playability, whoever had it before me, thanks for taking such good care of it, because I don't know if it came off the shelf, you know, Epiphone came off the shelf like that, but if it did, thank you, Epiphone. The playability of that mandolin is really good. It might not be spectacular, but it's really good. My fingers do not hurt. It's not a pick killer. It's very dynamic. You can take that mandolin up and down quite easily. When I mean up and down, I mean like you could shred on it and then slow it down and then speed up and then slow it down and really hold what you want to hold with it, right? Without really worrying about, you know, are all the notes accounted for? Am I missing something? I just don't have that worry with this mandolin. It's a really nice little instrument. It's a benchmark. You know, it's setting a benchmark. So if I get a mandolin that plays better than this one, trust me, that is going to be one hell of an upgrade. And if it sounds better too, that's a super upgrade. Okay, Leadfoot. Oh my God, like, dude. Especially this part of the road. Like, I mean, there's a lot of deer that run out here. I guess the speed limit just isn't good enough. I'm going to actually reduce my speed. It's kind of weird. There's I don't know what size of moon's out tonight, but there's like a bit of cloud cover, and there's like one spot where the moon's kind of shining through, but you can't see the moon. It just looks like there's a giant eyebrow in the sky. It's kind of funny. Yeah. So I really got to get a paying gig. I really do. I think I have to reintroduce myself to the owner again a few times. I'm a very easy person to negotiate with. There's no doubt about that. And I know when people are busy that, you know, they really don't want to be pestered, especially when they're working the kitchen and stuff like that. And, yeah, it's you know, it is what it is. So I you know, when I walked out tonight, the owner, she was there, and you could tell, you know, like a hot day in the kitchen. You know, I'm not going to, hey, I remember me, blah, 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 blah. I'll wait for her to mention it or whatever. And I'm pretty sure, you know, people are going to say, you should get that crazy guy on the mandolin and the guy that's always like singing these crazy drinking songs and whatever. Because I know people enjoy that. And yeah, I think, it's just a matter of getting the right time to throw the pitch out there again. But you never know. Like sometimes it's like, okay, well, it's just so booked up and it's just stressing for them and they just don't want to deal with it right now. You know what I mean? So there's that, whatever. But I mean, like, I'm in good with the bartender. She's always a sweetheart. Riley, was her birthday last week, and I walk in there and like she knows what I'm going to order and whatever, and always serves you with a smile. Great staff there, stuff like that. So I will get a gig there one time, and I would like to host too. Throw me on the list. But I do understand that. Yeah, I got to start, hunting out some. I got to play a gig, like a full gig, because it would be epic. You know what I mean? I know what the audience is going to be like. I know that bar is going to make a lot of money if I get the whole night to myself, because after the third song, everybody's going to be in complete party mode. You know what I mean? I don't do a lot of really slow songs, and when I do try to, like, all the ballads that I've played so far, okay, some of them went really well, some of them not so well, whatever. But I don't play a lot of ballads when I have the whole night to myself. I really reserve ballads for the jam nights, because you can find which ones really work. So if you are going to do, I try to keep it less than 4 ballads, 3-4 ballads, 1 ballad per set list, right? If you did that, you're going to throw in a really good night. You know what I mean? You're going to, you're going to give people something to dance slow to. But if you give them a moderate pace, upper pace, and then just train wreck the third set into like just getting everybody into complete numbnut psycho slam dancing mode, yeah, by that time, the drinking songs are, going to be epic. Now, mind you, the next drinking song I could really do is Spirit of the West, Home for a Rest, on the mandolin. I play that one on the guitar and the mandolin. I'm kind of tossed up what should I play it on, because I know that song people go nuts on it. Now mind you, like anything, you only get 3 songs, so by the time people get into your songs, you're walking off stage. It takes, like I say, the night goes up, goes down, whatever. If I had the drinking song guy tonight, he wasn't stellar vocals wise or like that, but he was fun, right? He would have been a good primer, you know what I mean? But on a jam night, I'm not really too worried about that, very simply for that very fact that it's a jam night, right? But I know that if I was getting the night for myself, yeah, the last set is going to be a lot of drinking songs, a lot of really hyper stuff, whatever. But there's so much to do, right? I like to get my set lists into about 10 songs per set, which is really difficult when the average song is 3.5 minutes long. That is really the attention span of most songs, right? But if you know how to work things, like with the mandolin, I do a 12-minute version of Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. I do about a 12-minute version of Farewell to Nova Scotia. You say, dude, the song's not that long. When you play it on mandolin, it is, because, again, you could do all these little lead-ups to it, and it's just this, you just take people on a journey. You get them into a theme, and they just go nuts with it, right? So, yeah, you can do these things. Don't ever feel that you can't. Don't think that you have to completely do it exactly the way it is originally recorded, because a lot of times you're probably not going to be able to do it exactly the way. Anyway, you're not them. You're not the original author of the song. Keep it as close to, either you do it note for note, or you do an ad-lib. It can go good either way. I like the ad-libs because you could stretch out a song or you could shorten a song, or run a song into another song. There's just so many ways to take it, you know what I mean? And I just enjoy it. Tonight was, except for that major epic fail of not getting the epic song on my GoPro. No! I'm kicking myself. Guys, I'm kicking myself. It's just like, I wanted you guys to see that because I know people will really be enjoying that. And again, the way I did Cowboys from Hell, like I did it well. I know I did it well. Yeah. So what's going to happen is, there's going to be a take two on that one. So again, I don't like, the summer's short and I'm not going to get a chance to play, that many more weeks, and again, it all depends on my cash flow too. So every week I miss in July or August is a week, closer to the stuff, the white stuff on the ground that will remain nameless, right? And once that happens, I don't like to take that highway in the winter. Not that I'm afraid of it. It's just I know enough people that have died on that highway. It's a bad highway, especially just before you get into Wakefield itself. The ice build up there right along the river in the wintertime. Everybody you talk to that travel that thing in the winter, including myself, has ended up in a vehicle going sideways at some point in the worst choke points ever. It's just, no, you know what I mean? But anyway, I'm gonna cut this one kind of short because I could just talk about it every day. But there will be a take two. I'm not upset and like, oh man, that's horrible, whatever. Because, well, now I got a reason to, the second time I play it live will be even better. You know what I mean? But I wish I would have been able to share that one with you guys tonight because, the guy, man, you should have seen the one guy. He had a grin from ear to ear. He was headbanging. And I think even the sound man, again, the guy's a jazz guy, and I heard, all right, like Cowboys from Hell. But I didn't know if anybody would pick up on that. And then I think it was maybe the second run, and it's like I heard somebody yell Pantera, you know what I mean, or whatever. And it was like, it's like, it's a good tune. It is really good on the mandolin. It's a really high drive song. Well, it's an excellent song to begin with, but it's a really high drive song. Now, I got to see Pantera years ago, and I gotta say, like, when I saw them, I think it was for that one, and it was epic live. And I didn't really know the band until I saw them, and then after I saw them, I was like, at first I was like, okay, these guys are, I saw them open for Skid Row, and it was Killer Dwarfs, Pantera, and Skid Row. This was years ago, back in the 90s, right? I'm always talking about back in the 90s, right? So, but yeah, it was good. It was good. And that made me a fan, right? And that song is an epic song. It's just so good. But anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. So it was a good night, a great night. I love bringing out the mandolin. I'm not saying I'm never going to play the guitar on stage again, but boy, if there was an instrument to just transition to, it's the mandolin. I mean, it's such a great little instrument. It fascinates me, it's just, I'm so lucky that mandolin found me. You know what I mean? I walked into a music store and that thing was sitting on the wall, and I was just like, it was one of those moments that I didn't really have the cash to spend, but I'm like, I know I will kick myself if I don't buy this thing. And tonight, being the second time I've been on stage with that mandolin, it's like, guys, I am, money well spent. There's a priceless value to it right now. I'm not saying it's the best mandolin in the world, but boy, am I ever happy with this one. It performs. It's a workhorse. And, man, there's a really crazy firefly flying around. There's like one firefly out tonight. Thank God it's cooled off a bit. But anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. It was a great night. Fantastic acts. It's just, I love it so much. I know I say this every week, but it's just, guys, get out there. Girls, get out there. Just go and enjoy life. There's so much beauty left in the world, and go experience it. And if you're a little shy or whatever, learn a couple of songs. Don't take it too personally. Go up, and even if you mess up the first time, don't worry. It doesn't matter how many times you play live. There's always going to be, even if you're playing the same songs all the time, there's always going to be something, challenging about it. But it's also going to be very rewarding when you start to hone in on it. And, a lot of the guys that went up tonight, I've seen some of these guys before, and they basically usually play the same songs all the time. So they always play it epically stellar because they're used to the same songs all the time. But there's also, other people that you never heard before going up. And that's always keeps it new and fresh and everything like that. So anyway, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe button because, so whenever I do get that epic Cowboys from Hell, no, whenever I do get it on video, you guys will be first to know. And I could play the song in the room and perfect it and everything like that, and you'll enjoy it. But I love showing you guys, this is what happens live. It's a one-take wonder. You don't get 2 takes at it. You go up, you got 15 minutes, and you have to make it work. And sometimes you just do things, and it just comes out the way it comes out, and it's like, hey, that's kind of cool, too. And, So anyway, I'll leave it at that. So, all right, have yourselves a great night, eh?